Sometimes you just know you should go with your gut feeling. Started off cam belt type job and a bit of a tidy up. Engine's now on the ground, but it did allow me to make it nice and clean, like phenomenally clean compared to what it was. So now it looks like this. We actually have shiny aluminium. There's our suspicious leak in there. It's all clean. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, you want to be... Oh, jeez. Ah, that'll do. So we're looking much better. I think there was a leak around the dipstick because there's a whole heap of silicone around that. So I'll put a new O-ring on that, of course. I'm going to do the seal under the oil pump. And the gearbox is looking a bit cleaner. Oh, the transmission. So, oh, we've also got... I suspected we had an air leak. Look, we've got a bolt missing there, nut missing there. So the plan right now is to drop that gearbox off, that transmission off, get this engine on a stand, delete EGR. So let's do the transmission off. I've done a little bit of prep on this. When the engine was sitting in the hole, in the vehicle, I removed the torque converter bolts. So they go through from the flex plate into the torque converter. There's a plate underneath. There is a plate. So this plate is under the bell housing, and that allows access to the torque converter bolts. They're a special bolt. Oh, I've got one here. They look like that. So that is the proper torque converter bolt. Now I'm going to undo some bell housing bolts. The oil lines are going to stay with the transmission, and it's going to sit onto the tray that I pulled the engine out on. Engine could go on a stand. I have already unplugged the loom when I was cleaning it. We've got that broken plug. That broken plug. Funnily enough, the speed sensor plugs, which are normally broken, survived. Oh, and that one is broken. I remember that one breaking coming off. So they will be refreshed. This cable. This is not a kick down cable. It is a line pressure cable. So to keep it really simple, I'm going to undo the bracket here. Cable off, undo those two. And then for the lines, I'm going to undo here and under here where the oxygen sensor is bolted on, and down here. You'll notice here the engine mount, this is what they always do, and I'll do something separate on that. I've got some new ones coming. Then I'm going to undo, I could undo the lines here. I'm not sure what I'm going to go about that, whether I'm going to whip them off there or I'm going to leave them connected. I'm kind of hopeful to leave the lines on the transmission. It's all sealed up, it's got nice clean oil in it, so there's no point in changing that. Now this transmission is likely to have done the life of this car. 425, it's actually more than that, like 428, but 425,000 Ks. And the man changes the oil every 20,000 Ks on that transmission. And it's lasted. And that is the best way to make a transmission last. Just phenomenal that it's done that number of Ks. So let's get this transmission off, because my brother needs that tractor to feed some cows. Because as you might have noticed, I'm also on a farm. This is a farm workshop. And but it's handy to have a tractor to do mechanical type jobs. This is an LS400 falling to pieces. And this is normal. I'm just going to give it a little bit more of a pull here. Watch this. Put it like this. And you can actually see how little is actually still attached. So that's what they often look like. Engine mounts breaking on these is really common. Because the engine sits down on them, often you won't notice that they're broken. But if you know to look for it, and over here the warrant men, if they knew to look for it, they would find quite a few that are damaged. They're not much fun to change in place. It is possible, but it's a bit of a job. So if ever I've got an engine out, or I've got a cross member out, I often look at whether these mounts have been damaged and flick another set in. Some of those are turning up today, hopefully. I don't do enough standard cars to keep them in stock. Right, we're actually getting this transmission off. With the lines disconnected, now it's time to take the bell housing bolts out. Now if I had been planning, I would have taken the bottom ones out already, but I haven't. It was silly of me. They are relatively easy to get to. So these have got a 14mm head. Can I get in there with my rattle gun now? Yep. And this one is a little bit covered in dirt. And these have a 10x125 thread. Right, there's 4 of those. Set my transmission there like that. Right, next we have the 17mm head ones. One. This one's got a bracket on it. That's on the left hand side. And then we simply just slide the box off. The torque converter is in place. We'll just give these lines a bit of a move, and out she comes. There we go. Oh, I forgot the dipstick. The dipstick tube is actually a whole lot of fun to do in place, and I'm hoping that I'm going to have a suitable O-ring. Oh no, that's had an O-ring because that's nice and soft, and it's got rubber grease on it. So that's good. That's had an O-ring done. I'll just quickly go over a couple of the plugs on it. I've got more information coming on transmissions. This is your overdrive speed sensor, or NCO. Line pressure cable. Solenoid plug, either at a 6-pin or an 8-pin on the 4 speeds. Rear speed sensor. Because this is a 20 series, doesn't have the vehicle speed sensor on here. And this is your inhibitor and gear selector switch, combination switch. Big rubber donut on the back, 3-bolt flange. You can see here the spigots from the torque converter, spigots into the back of the crankshaft, so it spigots into here, and here's where the flex plate bolts go through. So that's the transmission off. To put it back together, you pretty much reverse the process. And I was actually reading a Toyota manual the other day, and it said reassemble in the opposite, reassemble in the reverse order of disassembly. So when you put it on, slip the torque converter into the transmission and slide it back up to the back of the engine and put all the bolts back in. Really simple. Right, moving on to the next job. G'day guys. LS400 UCF20. It's coming apart. Lots of little videos, so if you want to look at individual bits, I'm trying to keep them short, a bit like me. And we're going to strip pretty much this motor down. Got to call it an engine. We're going to strip this engine down and give it a tidy up, external refresh, then slam it back together, back in the car, make it run, make it awesome.